What is up, everybody, and welcome to a special Friday World Series of Poker edition of the PokerNews podcast. Oh, that was terrible. I'm Sarah Herring. This is Jeff Platt. It's Friday, y'all. It's
Friday.
It's time to just move on with our lives. I can't have happy hour for 6 months, but for those who can, have one for me. Jeff, you're looking very sharp. What do you have going on today?
Thank you. We have the final table of the very prestigious $50,000 Poker Players Championship. That is today. That is streaming on Poker Go. Cards are in the air at noon Pacific time. The stream starts at 1 p.m. Pretty stacked final table. It unfortunately does not include Phil Ivey. We will get to that in a little bit. It does include the Shaun Deeb, Jungle Man. Josh Aria comes into the day as the chip leader. So there's some entertainment value to be had along with this final table and with that Chip Reese Memorial Trophy up for grabs.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, this is super, super good and interesting. And this is really funny because actually I had my team, this is a little behind the scenes info. I had my team scheduled yesterday to do a behind the scenes of the 888 ride. They have a series where they take players from their hotel to the casinos. And we were scheduled at noon yesterday to go with Daniel Cates, to go with Jungle Man. To the Bellagio, actually, for some reason, which I have no idea why.
Okay.
This is the best part. And I quote, let me get into my text messages. So my producer's on the ground, and I'm just asking her hey, so what's going on? How's the whole thing going? And she says, well, it seems a little off. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? What's going on? And she said that apparently he was not at the hotel where he was supposedly staying, the hotel which he told the producers that he was staying at.
Okay.
Which was bizarre. And that actually then they couldn't find him. So the producers had his phone number, but he wasn't answering or wasn't officially, she said, well, Jungle Man is not at the casino. He's disappeared. Tuckman cannot find him. He's not answering calls. LOL, pretty sure he has to be at the 50K Poker Players Championship, but we don't know. Maybe he's getting there another way. I feel like Jungle Man is a total enigma. He just makes no sense. He's super smart, obviously, but he's also maybe I don't know how he manages to eat breakfast and get to places before poker tournaments.
It's funny, he can be a little unaware at times, despite being one of the best poker players in the world. Perfect example of this. Yesterday they're playing Pot Limit Omaha at 12K and 24K big blinds. So minimum raise would obviously have to be to 48. Pot Limit Omaha though. So it folds around the jungle. He says 36. And dealer's like, sir, you can't make it 36. And he's like, okay, pot or whatever. They're like, sir,
or whatever. I don't know. Can you get the chips for me?
They're like, how about 48? He's like, all right, 48. And he announced his hand as queens one time, and it was jacks. Not a huge deal. It's just he's like queens, and then he's like, oh no, wait, jacks. It's just what? He's so entertaining to me at the poker table. He's a huge, like you said, an enigma. He's a mystery, but he's one of the best. There's no question about it. So he's always an absolute ton of fun to watch.
Well, and I got in big trouble, actually. The poker community was really mad at me. Not that that's any surprise, because I have all of my very unpopular opinions, such as when I was at the Aussie Millions, Jungle Man tossed, he used the word maybe, some of his chips at a player on the other side of the table.
Okay.
And this was very, very frowned upon. And in fact, they were talking about maybe kicking him out of the tournament, actually, which I've thrown chips at people before, so I was totally on board.
I could see that happening
with him. But anyways, I did this interview with him afterwards. The other guy wouldn't do the interview with me, so I wanted to get a balanced sort of story. What was it like for you? What happened? And funny thing, it was a pretty famous player. I can't even remember who it was now. Oh yeah, I would do. But anyways, he didn't want to be associated with it. I did the interview with Cates. Cates said, I was just really upset. It's poker. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of emotions. I just got upset. And then everyone was lambasting me for giving him a showcase to share his story. And the video got a gazillion hits. I'm I'm just doing my job over here. This is what I'm supposed to do. But I love that he's so in his head, right? But he's also like really passionate. Like he's crazy a little bit. And I don't know, like I'm a huge fan. I also was surprised to see Dario Sammartino again in this 50K PPC. Dario must have been just crazy, like working on all these mixed games, because I just don't expect to see him in these tournaments and see him going deep, and he's crushing.
Yeah, we saw him at the final table at the 10K horse a couple weeks ago. He's just like always in the mix in these 10K and above championships. And like you said, when we think of Dario, at least entering this summer, we thought of him as just a no limit hold'em specialist, and that was certainly an unfair qualification for him, because he has just come up in the mixed games world, and he's like definitely a force to be reckoned with now in all of these tournaments.
All right, well, I guess like the giant, of 600-pound ape in the room is what went down with Ivey.
Yeah, so he enters the day as chip leader with 12 players left. So everybody's like, okay, here we go. This is it. We're on Ivey watch for bracelet number 11, or for at least a final table appearance. But in the mixed games, your stack can take a turn for the worst fairly quickly. That's exactly what happened. He got into some cooler spots. A big hand in stud against Jungleman where they both had aces. Ivey had ace king 10. Jungle had ace king queen for a big pot. And it just seemed like Ivey was just second best by a little bit just all day. Nothing that he could really do. He did make one mistake where I do believe he misread his hand in stud high low, where he had the low locked up. He had a 7 low. The board was locked, so he definitely had the low based on the other hands that you could see, and he must have just misread his hand. So that was his one mistake of the day. So a disappointing day for Phil Ivey, a disappointing day for fans in the poker world. I did ask Phil for an interview afterwards. He said no, but he was very nice about it. So I think I'm now 0 for 2 lifetime on Phil Ivey interviews. How many times have you asked Ivey to talk?
Several. I had one summer where me, Lynn, and Christy, I wanted to make a video of us trying to get an interview and it not happening. And so I just kept asking him, and then they just kept videoing me asking him. And it turned out Lynn and Christy actually were both too, they didn't want to do it. So they actually, it was just a video of me asking Phil Ivey and I was such a nobody, I didn't know anything yet, which also I think made it easier to do it, because I was like, this Phil Ivey guy, everyone's obsessed with him. I don't get it. But then whenever he's at the Aussie Millions, he always does an interview, which is great because they set it up for me, which is just fantastic, and I don't have to deal with it. Shaun Deeb obviously being at the final table is great. There's so much going on, on side betting wise for Shaun Deeb and for a lot of other people who have a lot of action with him. And I thought it was interesting because everybody knows Shaun Deeb is I feel like this is an old story, but maybe it's still a thing that I don't see, but that he was the notorious slow roller. And Shaun Deeb actually tweeted that he said, "I've never had more fun than Phil Ivey slow rolling me on the bubble of the 50K." He goes, "I think it was totally unintentional, but I loved it. He felt really bad, and he must not know my history." I thought it was pretty funny, actually.
Right, and there is no way that Ivey knows Deeb's history. Ivey, it's not like Ivey is updating PokerNews. I doubt that he's listening to the podcast. That'd be great if he was.
Yeah. He's a closet fan.
Right. Yeah, Phil Ivey is our biggest closet fan. He just had no idea, I'm sure, of Deeb's history with slow rolling. Speaking of Deeb and back to Jungle, 1 point on the broadcast at the featured table. Jungle, it's like middle of a hand. Thank you. And he asked Shaun Deeb, "Has anybody ever referred to you as Shaun Deeb?" And Deeb's like, "Yeah, Jungle, that's happened all the time." And then Jungle says, "I was running The Sims in my mind and came up with that." It's like, what? It's just like that.
He's so crazy. I fucking love this guy. And the mix, I feel like this mix at this 50K is a really interesting kind of, you've got, Shaun Deeb, who's just going to say it like it is, call it out, brilliant player. You've got Dan Cates, who's definitely, totally, you can't have any expectations from him. Josh Aria is such a strong, solid, I would say slightly more quiet, but just a really solid player. Philip Hui, who's I also kind of a wild card. I think he can be fun and silly, and he's got a great group of poker buddies. I'm sure the rail's going to be crazy. I for one am just really excited to see how this whole thing plays out. And obviously you guys can check it out on Poker Go. While we're speaking of Poker Go and Jeff Platt and like how big and famous, he is doing all of his things, we want to give a shout out to our little sponsors over here. Global Poker is the sponsor of this particular live stream today. Global Poker is the home of online poker in America. Thanks to their massive weekly tournament schedule and their chance to win through their jackpot sit and goes with more than 1 million registered players in the United States. If you're not playing Global Poker, you're missing out. Head to www.globalpoker.com and set up an account today. Now, what do you think, Jeff, while we're at this like moderate break in the show, should we, I know some of the people in the chat right now. We've got Evan Jarvis, one of my closest buddies in poker, great friend, Grips. We've got
Grips.
Yep. We've got our boy, Oliver Biles, who is a good friend of yours and also now a good friend of mine. Russell Martin, welcome. Chris Bowers. Basically, if you guys are going to be in Las Vegas and you are interested in attending the charity poker tournament, I wanted to make sure I get it all right. It's at Aria starting around 5 p.m. I think that's when the red carpet... Is that when the red carpet starts?
I think red carpet's at 4 and the actual tournament is scheduled to start at 5.
But it's a loosely, people are just drinking, having fun, partying. It's bananas. I know last year the buy-in was $500, so it's actually a pretty sick value. You guys can win a seat to the tournament right now through us, but you have to be able to attend the tournament on Sunday.
Yes.
5 p.m.
Sunday
at the Aria.
At Aria, 5 p.m. So you have to be in Vegas, or if you're not in Vegas, you have to get to Vegas on Sunday, 5 p.m. at Aria. And it'll be great. Like you said, it's for a good cause, One Step Closer Foundation. Jacob and Bernard Lee put it on. It's a great tournament, raises a lot of money for charity to support the causes associated with cerebral palsy. And so you'll see a lot of main event champions there. You'll see a lot of celebrities there. I am going to be there, so you'll see me there, which is like kind of cool, I guess. Maybe
don't ask for autographs though, because he's like just going.
I made sure to mention myself after the celebrities and the main event winners. Don't qualify for either of those, but it'll be awesome. It'll be a fun time.
It's always so fun. I'm actually really sad to miss it because I always end up spewing money that I don't have.
Of course,
because I get drunk and it's for a good cause. Let's go. But it's, I think it's one of the best events of the summer. So, Jeff, why don't you throw it out there? What do they got to do to win right now? Everyone get ready.
So one more, terms and conditions. Like Sarah said, we are giving away one seat into this tournament. That seat this year valued at $350. There are $100 rebuys associated with this tournament. We don't give you any of that, but we do give you some absolutely sick value in this seat. So, in order to win the seat, in the chat, the very first person who can tell us the names of 3 first-time WSOP bracelet winners this summer will win that seat. Again, 3 first-time WSOP bracelet winners. Last name only is fine. Spelling doesn't really count as long as we can tell who you're talking about. Wins the seat to the One Step Closer Foundation charity tournament on Sunday. And again, you have to be in Vegas or be able to get to Vegas by Sunday.
Fantastic. Boom. Okay, so while we wait to give away that seat, Michael, this is actually a great question. And I wanted to spend a little more time looking at the list because obviously 50 is a lot of names to go through. But I did have a look at the initial list. Michael says, Chad Holloway recently tweeted the WSOP 50 greatest poker players in history. 2 questions for you. Any surprised omissions? I know you can't please anyone. And how many of them are in the Hall of Fame? Who's Rebo?
Daniel Strelitz.
Look at you, Jeff.
So like you on the 50 greatest poker players, I would also like to take more time. And I feel like we're on the Democratic candidate debate stage. We're like, I'm going to look at that issue a little more closely, and I'll be sure to get back to you on that one. But it is very interesting. There are definitely some omissions that I've seen just based on the Twitterverse conversation around it, but I'm not familiar enough with that list to kind of like you to really dive in and say these are the people who were omitted, these are the people who should be in, who are in, et cetera, et cetera.
It's so difficult, especially when you're looking at because there are some people where it's just like, okay, yes, this, like, it's obvious, it makes sense. Okay, of course you're going to have Phil Ivey, Phil Hellmuth, Danny Nagano, Carlos Mortensen. Like, I don't know, there's some where you're just like, yeah, okay, this completely makes sense. But I think the most difficult thing is as we're getting closer and closer to the current time period that we're in, right? So like Fedor, that makes sense. But then when you're looking at some things like I would say like Adrian Mateos Diaz, or who's such a sicko, like such a sicko. And like there was a few players on there where I thought, okay, totally get it. And also I could see you could make an argument for other players with sort of similar stats, but maybe different backgrounds, right? So for Adrian, like I think especially being from Spain, he like just crushed records. But if you're just looking at wins, maybe, like, is that he's so young? I don't know. Like, there was definitely a lot. So we will check it all out. We will get it going for you guys. But I feel like Evan Snap won, right? Our championships.
Yes, but he also says he wants to give it away if he wins.
Okay, well, are you going to give it away to your own people? Because you're going to have to let us know, like, immediately.
Yeah, because we are on a tight deadline. So, Evan, you let us know in the chat. If not, we will move on to Russell. But I do believe Russell's in Florida. So if it's not Russell, then we'll move on to Oliver. So, Evan, you have the first rights to this seat, but you have to let us know, like, within an hour?
He said no, give it to the next one.
Okay, Russell, if you are coming to Vegas this weekend, we give it to you. Sarah and I really planned this out, obviously. Like, this was, we really scripted out this plan.
If Russell can't come to Vegas, Russell let us know.
If Russell can't come to Vegas, then Oliver will win the seat. And I will have to crush and destroy him and take all his chips like I'm going to do in this PokerNews Heads Up challenge that we have.
Which I actually really support. Oliver has come and like busted his buns. He came all the way to Vegas. He didn't get a very big stipend. PokerNews is the cheapest company in all the land. I feel terrible. And so if Oliver is able to go play that tournament, I hope that he does and gets to enjoy it. And Michael, shout out. I have to totally agree. Devilfish was also one of my favorites, which makes sense because he's totally my type of person. And while we're on the subject, though, of awesome, amazing tournaments coming up, for those listening or those watching, if you are going to be in Las Vegas towards the main event, July 8th, we're going to have our PokerNews podcast family tournament, which is going to go down at the Planet Hollywood at 7 p.m. on July 8th. Jeff and I will be there, hopefully, unless Jeff is in the main event at that time. Sasha, everybody's basically going to be there. I hope Evan's going to be there. He's probably going to be in the main event, too. Great. Well, so come join us for that. I think it's like $150 buy-in or something, but mostly it'll be like drinks and giveaways and just fun, and bragging rights, obviously. I think Jeff is giving away a lot of things because he's rich.
A lot of things. Going to have a lot of bounties on all the podcast hosts. You know, maybe $7 bounties, $8 bounties. We'll see. More things on Sarah. Get crazy. Special bounty is on Sarah. Okay, so Russell says he can't make it, so that means it is Oliver's seat on Sunday at Aria for the 1 SCF tournament.
We go, Oliver!
We did it. We did it.
We're so proud of you.
Congratulations, Oliver. We're very proud.
So proud of you. All right, so let's talk about some other stories before I know you got to go get on with your life. We've only got 5-10 more minutes. Looks like Seidel is in the hunt for a bracelet. Is that still a story?
It could be. It could be. And in what event would that be?
The 10K PLO 8, June 28th.
Oh, and the 10, which starts today.
Yeah.
So I guess he's in the hunt. I mean, sure, everybody's in the hunt.
What? How do you PokerNews? How do you even have that be the? Here's what it says. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Read it.
I think what they meant to say is in event 60, the 1,500 pot limit. Omaha.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah,
PokerNews. First, you don't pay for all of
first you're
travel.
cheap, and yeah.
All right, so this one needs
you're right about that.
An extra day. 3 days was not enough to go through 1,117 entrants. The action's going to start again at 2 Pacific time today, and it's always exciting. We've got, my favorite old man sweater, Anthony Zeno. I should stop calling him that, but I love his style. I think it fits him very well, but it's always exciting to see Erik Seidel in the hunt for a bracelet. It's not like so exciting to watch Erik Seidel play per se because it's very like methodical and slow. But if he won a bracelet, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Pretty stacked final table with him, Anthony, with Connor Drynan, with John Turner, Pearl Jam in the mix. So that is a pretty stacked final 9 in the 1500 PLO 8, and it's a pretty stacked remaining field in the 10K Raz with 12 players left. Chris Ferguson is your chip leader. Dan Zach still in contention. Your boy Calvin Anderson, the defending champion of this event, still in contention. One Daniel Negreanu is still in contention. David Bach, Gordo, Scott Seaver, Carrie Katz, Marco Johnson. Damn, just a stacked field of crushers remaining in this 10K Raz. So it's pretty sick.
Man, which is like, why is Calvin Anderson not even in the top 10 yet at the Player of the Year, guys? I don't get it. I feel like he's going deep in so many things. We're looking at the Player of the Year leaderboard right now, and Dan Zach is at the top. Scott Clements, Jason Gooch. I don't even know.
Yeah, he won an online event, and I think might have final tabled another. So that's how he has like all of his points for Player of the Year.
Wow, it's interesting. So Shaun Deeb's in 7th. Which
so he'll get a nice bump today with the final table of the Poker Players Championship. And I believe if Deeb wins the PPC, then he will move up to first. But I guess that depends on what Dan Zach does today, right, in the 10K Raz. So we will see.
Wow. I feel like Calvin Anderson should be on here somewhere. I'm going to make my own system. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, no bias.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Thanks, Russell, for your shout outs for our boy Oliver Biles. I think you guys are going to have tons of fun. Anything else before I let you go? I know you've got to go do your important job. You're looking very sharp, I have to say.
Thank you. I had to wear a tie for the final day of the most prestigious tournament in all the land. So my last note would be please tune in to Poker Go this afternoon. It's going to be quite the event, quite the stream, quite the final table. Quite the trophy to hand out. This is it. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Oh, I love it. Ben Ludlow, happy 50K final table day.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. All right, cool, Russell. Yeah, we wish good luck to our boy Shaun Deeb. Sorry this was a quickie for you guys, but we're just trying to keep you in the mix all the time. And we'll be back on Monday with all of the action that's gone down over the weekend. It seems like there's always a ton to catch up on after the weekends, and we're always getting closer to the final tables there of the really low buy and really big field events. All right, cool, man. So one more shout out to our homies, Global Poker. Thank you so much for your support. And Jeff, enjoy your life.
You enjoy your life, Sarah.
Deuces.